Bob Burns. I'm running in Illinois' 4th Congressional District, which is mostly in Chicago's northwest and southwest side. One of the reasons I'm running, I studied economics, and I'm an economist, and I feel that there are just too few in Congress who have a knowledge of economics. So what they do is they end up getting their knowledge from economics from the bankers. They come in, the lobbyists, they advise them, and you get a very skewed view of economics from them. There's a joke I like to tell. If you ask a mathematician, an engineer, and an economist, what's 2 plus 2, the mathematician will tell you, well, you can use sets to create a union and come up with 4. The engineer will pull out the slide rule and tell you 4. And the economist will say, well, what do you want it to be? And so I think what we need is we need an economist for the people, to be, advocating for the people and telling, that 2 plus 2 equals 4, and that's what the people want. We want the truth. And so there's a concept that you'll run into in almost any introductory economics textbooks that is so overlooked in our political realm, and that's the concept of natural monopoly. So with a natural monopoly, there's a tendency to have only one enterprise run the entire industry. And there's only a few of these industries. Insurance is one of them. You'll find it in the monetary system, railroads, roads in general, the transportation, communication, energy grids. That's about it. That's the whole list of them. And what happens with natural monopolies, you have this tendency towards one enterprise to run the whole thing. And so if you let that happen, you end up taking away what should be democratic institutions, and you give them over to oligarchies. These oligarchies then decide everything. And usually they decide, well, we'd like to make lots of profit, so they can gouge their customers because they're the only competitor. The traditional way to deal with this is you get the bankers coming in there to advise Congress about how to deal with this. And the way they advise them is they say, what you need to do is create the appearance of competition. So rather than having one run it, we'll split it into 2 or maybe 3. And so it'll look like it's competitive, but obviously we all go to the same board meetings, we play golf together. So it's not really competitive at all. But now you can say, well, it's just like you. If you run a corner drugstore, we're just like you. We're just a business like you. We're just another business, but they're not. They're not another business. So we really need to tackle this problem of natural monopoly and the privatization of these natural monopolies. One of the biggest ones is our monetary system. Our monetary system, the framers of the Constitution recognize that monetary systems have to be run by the government. They put it right in the Constitution. Only Congress has the say over how much money to issue and also what the value of that money should be. But what Congress did was they passed an act. They didn't amend the Constitution to give that power elsewhere. They just passed an act, an unconstitutional act, the Federal Reserve Act, and they gave that power to a private cartel. In that private banking cartel, they are guaranteed by the act 6% profit every year. If the Federal Reserve doesn't have enough money to pay their shareholders, their members they call them, their 6% profit, well then they have to pay them 12% next year. And if there's 3 years go by and they can't do it, then they have to pay them 18%. They're guaranteed that profit. And what happens is they wield that power over us. They control that monetary system, and with this natural monopoly that they now control, they carve out new monopolies. They can create monopolies in banking where there would be no monopoly if it weren't for this. They can create monopolies elsewhere in retail and all kinds of other places. So we push that private drugstore operator out of business because this natural monopoly exists, and it exists because of a violation of our own Constitution.